What is up, guys? Welcome back to another special episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. Tonight, it's Friday evening, July 21st. We're doing a $20 draft here on Drafters. It's their $1.2 million Best Ball Championship. I believe first place is $300K. And we got a special guest with us drafting in the 11th spot. John, welcome, man. How are we doing?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for having me, Kyle.
Yeah, man, and this is John's first $20 draft. He's been hitting the $3, so he's well oiled and he's ready to go in this one. It's exciting. This is my 29th in the $20 draft, and I got the first pick, so that's no question for me. And then we also have a good friend of the show, Matt Bain, here at the 5 hole. We'll kind of monitor his draft throughout here, but John's at the 11, so we'll have some fun with that. And I don't know, John, like just the first couple $3 drafts you've done, what's been some of the things that you've been taking away from the best ball so far?
Well, you and I are always right next to each other, so it's actually kind of exciting to be on the opposite end of a draft board as you. Yep. But receivers, I mean, I think I've noticed this trend the last couple of years. I haven't done this is probably the most I've done best ball, but feels like receivers are just going fast and furious. I'm not sure if that's new news for anybody, but receivers just fly off the board these first couple rounds, and that always stands out to me.
I think it's for good reason. I mean, you start 3 wide receivers and then you get the flex. So the opportunity to start 4 wide receivers is pretty good.
Yeah, definitely a roster build thing, right? Based on how they have this set up.
And obviously, Ja'Marr Chase, Justin Jefferson, the top 2 picks. I hate getting – I love the first 2 picks. I think those are the clear 2 picks that I like. It sounds like you like CMC at 3. I've been getting stuck at 3, 4, and 5 a lot the last week or so. So I've been mixing in Kupp, CMC. Those have been the 2 I've been taking the most in those areas.
Yeah, I like CMC, maybe even arguably at 2, but definitely at 3. I'm also a big Eckler proponent, like right here, but I think we've all fell in love with Kelsey anywhere between 4 and any time in the first round after that.
So I've been coming to around to the idea, because Drafters is different compared to DraftKings and Underdog, because Drafters is just straight up best score at the end of the year, weeks 1 through 17. There's no playoff format. So
right.
I think Kelsey's in an advantage here because he's going to score the most tight end points, assuming he plays the full season. So the ability to gain an extra, 100 points compared to the number 2 tight end seems like a good idea. So I've been trying to target Kelsey the last few weeks when I get in the middle of the draft. And sometimes he falls to like the 9-10 spot, which feels kind of stupid, but he's just been someone that I've been trying to take a little bit more shares of the last week or so.
No, absolutely. Well, and then I mean, Mahomes' ADP is coming in right around that wraparound spot too, and that's, I mean, you could argue that's the most fun stack you could do.
It's just it's expensive, to burn your first and second round pick on a QB and a tight end. It leaves you a little bit naked at the 2 most important positions, probably.
100%.
It's tough. I wish Mahomes was in the 3rd round. Sometimes he falls there. There's been some weird drafts that I've been in, but yeah, it's hard to stack. But I guess you're on deck right now. What's going through your mind here at 11?
I'm going to go with Amon-Ra. He's someone I'm really obsessed with, but he's been a little rich for my, he's been being drafted at way higher ADP than I would have kind of originally thought. So I don't have much of him across my best balls. So kind of excited to get him there. And I'm probably going to go receiver, though. Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson are really appealing right now too.
I think anytime I get Bijan in the 2nd round, I usually end up taking him. You can. You're up to pick here, so I'll let you do your thing.
Yeah, why not? I think that's a good choice too. I think that's just a lot of fun. I like the back end of the draft right now because there's just so many really high upside guys you can grab.
And to be honest, like we'll look at it when I get to my end here, but the round 2-3 turn is kind of difficult to navigate. Whereas I really like the 1st and 2nd turn. All those guys that have picked here, from AJ Brown all the way back to Devonta Smith, those are all good duos and combinations. But Amon-Ra St. Brown's probably another 100 catch season. And then Bijan's the complete unknown. Like we know he's going to get
of course
volume running, but if he gets a ton of passing work, which basically all the camp reports that I read is they want to use him as a receiving threat, which, I mean, if he catches 40, 50 passes this year, he's gonna be well worth, especially a second round pick. He's worth that. But in June, Bijan was like the 6th, 7th, 8th overall pick. He's actually starting to fall back a little bit, which is surprising.
I'm sure it will kind of ebb and flow, right? I mean, a couple good reports here will prop him back up to, like, end of the first round, middle first round status. Maybe, other people will comment, oh, hey, Jonathan Taylor's looking really, really good. Maybe he'll bounce ahead of him. It's probably a lot of musical chairs right now.
Next week is when all the actual practices start, so that's when we're gonna see a lot of moving, and it's gonna be pretty fun. But I'm up to pick here. I got Justin Jefferson. I could take Jalen Hurts. Derrick Henry's been someone that I'm kind of interested in lately. DK Metcalf, I have a ton of shares of him. This one's tough. Like, I don't feel great about any of these guys. I think I'm just going to collect Derrick Henry. Again, I don't feel great about the Titans, but I think he's gonna get his. They have a really bad offensive line this year, but I like the fact that they're kind of going all in with getting DeAndre Hopkins. And then, I mean, do I take a Jalen Hurts? I could potentially line up Dallas Goedert in the 7th, 8th round turn if I wish. DK's been a player that I like him just on my team, especially as my wide receiver too. Jacobs, I'm not sure of. Keenan Allen's a bit rich here. Don't know what to do. I'm just going to take Jalen Hurts. And we got a well-balanced start here with JJ, Henry, and Jalen Hurts. But what do you do in that? I mean, that's a tough turn, man. There's too many.
I've been walking away when I get started, 1, 2, 3, somewhere in that first couple spots. I've been walking away with Josh Jacobs pretty regularly. I noticed he's someone I'm really gravitating towards at that spot. But I love Henry. If you're in the mood for a quarterback, that's absolutely a Hurts, Mahomes, at Josh Allen range, and I can't argue against any of them. I do think Metcalf's maybe a touch early there, but outside of that, everyone else you mentioned, I like a lot at that spot.
So
I end up going with Jacobs a lot, though. I don't have a great reason for it. I'm not super excited about that offense, but I just end up he's proven himself many times.
My only issue is, like, to take Jacobs at 24-25. There's been drafts where I get him back here in the late, I guess the early 30s in this back when I'm in the back half. Sometimes he dips into the back end of the 3rd round. So sometimes I'm just like, well, I can get him later there. Maybe I'll try to continue to get some different exposures up here. And I think I want more Jalen Hurts in my portfolio. But you're up to pick here. Let's see what you got, Bruin.
Yeah, tough. I'm probably gonna go kind of boring and just grab Najee Harris here.
I'm starting to come around to Najee being a decent pick here. He doesn't feel like he's going to be a home run, but I feel like he's just the guy that's going to be like a single. He gets on base. He's going to get you, 12 to 13 points pretty much every week. And the Steelers are going to be good this year. Like, they were still good. Like, they went 9-8 last year, and they weren't very good offensively. I think they're going to be a step better. So I think Najee is as safe as they come.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's kind of what's drawing me to him right now. And I think I'm going to go with a receiver here. I'm kind of having a tough time between Amari, Christian Kirk, and Christian Watson. I think I'm going to roll with Christian Watson because I like the kaboom upside, and something about pairing him with Amon-Ra St. Brown feels really enticing and interesting and fun. So hoping those guys have bunches and bunches of kaboom weeks and make my team good.
You got the consistency of St. Brown, and then Watson's going to be the guy that he'll get you 7 some weeks, but he'll also get you 24 the next week. So that kind of balances out. How come no Jahmyr Gibbs talk at those 2 picks?
Yeah, it's a great question. I have to admit I'm a little undereducated on Jahmyr, but I think I'm very, very bullish and excited about that Lions offense. And if he is the RB1, I think he's a home run in round 4.
Yeah, so Jahmyr Gibbs he's my most drafted player on Drafters. In full PPR, I think that's where you want him. So DraftKings and Drafters, I've been heavy Jahmyr Gibbs. Sometimes he dips right here. This guy gets him as his RB4, which feels like overkill, but
Yeah,
Sometimes,
this guy's going real hard in the paint with running backs.
and then I just want to recap Matt Bame's team. He's got Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes. He did get Calvin Ridley here and Terry McLaurin. So he's off to a balanced start. Just need some running backs. But I'm on deck. I got 2 stabs at it here. I have Hurts, Derrick Henry, and Justin Jefferson. I feel like I probably got to take Christian Kirk here because he's got an ADP of 41.8. I'm getting him here at 48. That feels pretty.
I was honestly about to take him at where I was.
That feels like a win to me. And then I'll be honest, I haven't been taking a lot of DJ Moore. So let's get Christian Kirk out of the way. And then man, every time I get the one, I feel like I'm obligated to take TJ Hawkinson here and build that Viking stack. I don't know if that's the smartest decision. I do think Hawkinson's their number 2 target over the other receivers, Addison and Osborne. Otherwise, I
would agree with that 100%. I owned Hawkinson in a lot of stuff last year, and he was really good.
I think I'm going to commit to the Vikings, and we'll go with JJ and TJ Hawkinson. Otherwise, I was looking at Deontay. I thought that one might be nice. Otherwise, like when I'm down here too, and I don't love it, but pairing Justin Fields with DJ Moore is a pretty easy thing to do when you get the first or second overall pick. They both are just sitting there at the turn, and it's kind of like a free stack there if you wait.
I like that idea a lot. It's a lot of fun.
And pretty much anytime I do, like when I'm at the first or second overall pick, usually it's when I'm at the 2. Then I'll try to do it because I have Justin Jefferson. I try to do something a little bit different, I guess. But Matt Bame takes Deontay Johnson there at 53. Let's see. This guy, the guy right behind.
35.
Yeah. The guy, I don't know if he's on auto pick or what, but the guy behind Matt here at 6, he takes Keenan, Big Mike, and Herbert. So he's got the Chargers going. Not sure what Legs is doing here. Maybe he's auto drafting. Maybe he's just trying something different. But I'll let you pick here, and then I got a question on our chat here we can answer after your picks.
Oof. What do we think about J.K. Dobbins? Is he going to be remotely healthy this year, or just too hard to say?
They just put him on the PUP list today, so
I saw that.
I would maybe try and see if he can come back around if you're still interested in him.
Yeah.
He's probably going to like people are. It's just weird once those negative news blurbs hit, players start to tumble. So I think J.K.'s
100%
on a little slide here. I've been drafting him a lot. I don't think he's injured. I think it's more about the contract, and they probably just have an excuse to put him on the PUP list since he was last year. I'm not too worried about it yet. They brought in Melvin Gordon, but Melvin Gordon was garbage last year. I don't think he's much of a threat. But I don't know. It's a weird situation. They also put Rashad Bateman on their non-active list or something like that, which is he said he's not reporting. I don't know. It was a weird day for the Ravens.
Yeah. I didn't see the Bateman thing, but the Dobbins thing is. I've been interested in him. I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but I've been thinking about him for a while. This is crazy. I've told you this many times before, but I'm such a stan for Dameon Pierce. I think it was a little bit of I probably wouldn't have grabbed him here, but this one guy has taken literally 5 running backs and 5 picks. So I needed one more useful RB, and Pierce was, no disrespect to Miles Sanders and Cam Akers, but I just like Pierce so much more.
Pierce sticks out. He's going to get the volume. I think the Texans are going to be better than people think. But we got a question in here from Chris. He says, would you trade Goddard and Gibson for Kittle in a late second in a 1 QB full PPR dynasty league? My other backs are CMC, Brees, and Damian Harris. I also picked up Fournette today. So he's trading away Goddard and Gibson, acquiring George Kittle in a late second. Do you have any quick thoughts on that, John?
Which Gibson? Antonio?
I'm assuming that's Antonio Gibson. Yeah, I think there's only one Gibson, right?
You're trading away Goddard and Gibson. I kind of like the Goddard and Gibson side of that, honestly.
Yeah, Goddard's the younger version of George Kittle. The late second, I don't know if that's going to be anything great in a 1 QB full PPR league. And your backs are CMC and Brees. So Gibson would be your RB3. So to me, I kind of like holding on to him. And then, to be honest, I don't know if there's that much of a difference between Goddard and Kittle. So to me, I think Gibson's worth more than that late second round pick.
100%.
It's
And I kind of tend. I mean, I'm kind of even on Goddard and Kittle, but I think when you put the age into perspective, there, it
yeah.
just, yeah, I agree with you.
Speaking of Goddard, I just grabbed Goddard. I have two tight ends. I got Hopkins and Goddard now, so we got that going for us. Goddard's going to be in our flex a lot with TJ, so this is interesting and different. And then JSN sticks out. I like George Pickens. I could take Jordan Addison and just really lean into that Vikings build. Maybe I do that. Apparently, he's really fast on the field and on the highway, so let's see what he's got. Did you hear about that yesterday, John?
I did hear about that. Yeah. Be interesting to see, how that shakes out for his playing time, or if he's like gets any suspension or anything. But I was curious to ask you. You've been doing a lot of in the drafts we were in together. You've been getting a lot of like double tight end, before round 7, round 8. Pretty high for the tight end position. I think most would say. What's your thought process like there?
So do you remember what I was saying about Kelsey and just like having a
Sure.
good end is I think it's very important in the drafters format, the season long format, because it's an accumulation of points the entire year. And this has just been something that I've been messing around with the last week or so, is this two tight, and they're not elite tight ends, but Hawkinson you could maybe argue is elite. But to get 2 potential top 5 tight ends, it ensures me I'm going to have a top 5 tight end score every week. And then sometimes like these tight ends, they look better than some of the receivers.
Sure.
So for me to flex a tight end, I also have insurance in case one of my tight ends misses a game or two. It's just an insurance play, but I also think that the especially like these guys like Goddard and Pitts, when you can get them as your tight end too, they're going to be flexing a lot of weeks for you, and oftentimes they're just as good as these wide receiver 3s and 4s that we're drafting in this same range. So just something I'm playing with. I want to make sure I have enough tight end points. I either want to grab tight ends early, or I'm waiting to like the final rounds to grab my tight end. So I'm just playing with it. But you just grabbed Brandon Cooks here. What are you looking at on the turn at round 8?
Yeah, no, I just I kind of wanted another receiver. Now I'm debating, skill positions, but I think I'm going to try a QB that I haven't taken much of, but I just love his offense so much. I think Tua's got all the not all the tools, all the weapons that anyone could ever want. Don't necessarily think Tua is the greatest quarterback, but he's certainly good enough to take advantage of his weapons. And yeah, just grab Brandon Cooks. I think he's, if you look at his stats over the last 6-7 years, whatever it is, he's produced, more yards, more catches than, most people besides, some of the studs that have been healthy over that period of time too. So he seems like a safe, useful piece to me as my receiver 4.
Yeah, the way you set your roster up, like right now, Pierce and Cooks are going to be fighting for your flex. That feels like minimum 10 to 12 points each week. So
yeah,
I like the depth.
Yeah, and I got Watson that I think is, and Watson and Amon-Ra. I mean, Amon-Ra's got a great floor, but I think Watson and Amon-Ra, and maybe even Bijan to a degree, are kind of my, got some kaboom upside, whereas Najee and Ayuk and Cooks, I think, are just, going to put up, somewhere around 10 points, or maybe Najee, hopefully closer to 15, like just every damn week.
So my only hesitation with taking Tua there is like there's nobody else to attack him with. Like once Tyreek and Waddle are gone, we got to take running backs. Like I don't know who else to grab there. I'm on the clock again right now. I could get Cortland Sutton, Zay Flowers, Michael Thomas is someone that I'm coming around to. Clearly, do not need a tight end. I'm gonna grab Gibson, the other tandem versus dynasty question there. So we got Goddard and Gibson on this.
Just locking in the answer to that question right there.
I mean, I could double down on running back here again. I think Kamara is interesting if I want to play it for the longer play. Ryan, Charbonnet. I probably got to go wide receiver here. I'm going to grab the Ravens young rookie here, Zay Flowers. I got 2 rookies, Addison and Zay Flowers now. We'll see what happens. It's kind of like I just want a piece of that Ravens offense because I think it's going to be pretty good this year.
You didn't want Kirk Cousins?
I thought about it, but sometimes, like, I already had Jalen Hurts. And so the difference between taking 2 tight ends early and 2 quarterbacks early, I can only start 1 QB. I can start 2 tight ends. so I'm less excited about it. And then honestly, if Kirk Cousins blows up, I got JJ, I got Hawkinson, I got Addison. One of those guys will be the reason for it. And the chances that Kirk outscores Jalen Hurts that week, maybe Kirk can get some. I mean, what's the likelihood that Kirk outscores Hurts? Like, how many times is that going to happen throughout the year?
Not a million.
Maybe 3 or 4. So the thing I've noticed though is like he might fly all the way back to me. I don't know. But you're up to pick here, so I'll let you do your work.
This is a tough spot here. I might have to abandon a ship that I usually. I might have to abandon a ship that I usually.
You're not doing it?
I'm considering it. I'm also considering Jared Goff because I want to stack him with Amon-Ra.
So that was my thought when you took Tua. I'm like, you could have maybe taken, and I know none of the other skill players stuck out, which is why you went with Tua. But I know when I get Amon-Ra, I'm taking Goff every time around 10, and I'm not afraid to reach for him.
Yeah, I think I'll do that. And then Tua and Goff, I didn't get a QB early, so Tua and Goff are kind of a fun.
Yeah, that's great.
On that fringe, like QB1, QB2 range for fantasy.
The only thing that I've seen people hesitate on Tua about is the concussions and the health, So
it's sure.
It's a good idea to get a good backup behind Tua.
Always a risk for sure with him.
So clearly I didn't get Kirk Cousins. I don't mind that. Matt Boehm, though, he's been going to town on these running backs. He took 3 straight. DeAndre Swift, who I have 0 shares of DeAndre Swift on Drafters, A.J. Dillon, and Samaje Perine. So he went 0 running back here. Probably might need 1 more here, or we'll see what he does.
Well, this one guy, Legs, went 5 running backs in a row to start the draft, and then he took 1 round off, and now Boehm has went 4 running backs in a row, so he's kind of picking up where Legs left off.
Yeah. And that's a point that I want to make too, because like you have to be aware of your neighbors. I always try to do, after the first round or 2, like get your guys, but then you kind of start to set yourself up to like not compete with your neighbor for the same position. They're just giving me Anthony Richardson here at 120, man. His ADP is 107.2. I feel like I have to take him. Jesus.
Gotta follow your heart, man. You already got a good QB. You might.
I got the next Jalen Hurts, hopefully, right? So I'll grab him. I do need more shares of him. I'm looking at Devon A-Chain for the Dolphins as a pretty good pick. I do like Jacoby Myers. He's being kind of slept on. And I think Rondale Moore is a good pick as well. I'm gonna keep drafting rookies here. I'm not sure where Dalvin Cook is gonna sign. It sounds like the Dolphins are the most like if you were to ask anybody, like they would probably say the Dolphins. I don't think he's gonna go to the Dolphins though. And if he doesn't, all the Dolphins ADPs are gonna go moving up. There goes Nico Collins. There went at 117, John. So it looks like he's officially in the 10th round now.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, I kind of figured I had no tight end, so Freiermuth was a move that I was excited about, and I wanted to do the Goff Amon-Ra stack. So just an unusual build-based situation. I own Nico in almost every draft I've done.
Pat Freiermuth is probably. Because I was talking about tight ends. If I don't have a tight end through 9 rounds, I'm probably grabbing Pat Freiermuth every time. Just because he's got top 5 upside every week. The dude caught a ton of passes last year. He had almost 100 targets. He's super reliable. In a PPR format, I think he's a pretty solid pick. Matt Boehm just took Allen Lazard there in the 11th round. I think, let's see, he's got Boehm's receivers are Lazard, Mike Evans, Deontay, McLaurin, and Calvin Ridley. He's got the Kelsey Mahomes stack. I don't see any other Chiefs yet. So we'll watch for him to grab any more Chiefs with Mahomes. And then what do you know about Sky Moore, man, going at 105 these days?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what to make of these Chiefs receivers. I've been getting a lot of Mahomes, and I try to sprinkle in some Rasheen Rice and some Sky Moore and some
MVS.
Yeah, MVS, I guess a little bit, but it's just like I don't know. One of them is going to have a good week just about every week, but I'm not sure. I think it's going to be a revolving door. What's your thought on it?
So my theory is Juju Smith-Schuster leaves a ton of targets available in the slot. I don't think Kadarius Toney is a slot receiver. I think Kadarius Toney is a better version of Mecole Hardman in that offense. Mecole Hardman's always been kind of one of their gadget players. They do a lot of things with him. They move him around. Mecole Hardman was a returner for them at one point. So I don't view Toney as a threat for Sky Moore's slot opportunities. In all mini camps in May, Sky Moore was running in the slot. So if he can take a step forward this year, I think after Kelsey, I would probably bet on Sky Moore to be number 2 in targets and receptions. Kadarius Toney to me seems like the third best bet. And
Tony's in there too. Yeah.
I like Toney, but he's so hard to trust, man. Not only like on the field to stay healthy, but like off the field, he's got potential issues. So I have not been taking Toney. I was taking a ton of Sky Moore in the 11th and 10th round, but the dude's going in the early or the late 8th round now, the top 100 pick. So I'm starting to lean off of Sky Moore. I'm glad I was able to get enough shares of him while he was cheaper. But
yeah,
next week, man, when Mahomes is in camp and we start getting updates on that, I'm willing to change my mind. But I think Sky Moore is their starting slot receiver this year, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I have some shares of him. He's probably the outside of Kelsey, the Chiefs pass catcher that I've got the most shares of. But yeah, unless I get Mahomes, I'm honestly kind of avoiding Chiefs receivers. But if I do get Mahomes, the motivation really picks up. I notice I've probably got the most of outside of Kelsey again, Moore and Rice. I think I don't know a lot about Rice, but he seems kind of interesting. I'm excited for his opportunity.
All right, tell me a little bit about Isaiah Hodgins.
Well, he's one of the better pass catchers in the league. I mean, he's like I think there's like some sort of 538 contested catch statistic. I'm probably not getting the name of that stat right verbatim, but regardless, that metric has Isaiah Hodgins as like one of the top 10 or 15 best receivers in the league. Now, obviously, he's not that good, but I think he had one playoff game last year where he had like 8 catches, damn near 100 yards, a touchdown. He had was arguably the best Giants pass catcher for the second half of the season last year. So he seems like someone who, at this point in the draft especially, has kind of surprisingly good upside, and he's got kind of a weird mix of potential upside and potentially a good floor, I think. Now, I'm also super bullish on him, so there's definitely a lot of downside there too.
Here's that 538 thing you referenced. He was number 4 in contested catch rating last year.
Sure, yeah.
He's a really good target. And then my thing with him is, well, you're on the clock right now, so I'll let you make your picks. But what I was saying with Hodgins, he reminds me of Nico Collins because I think Hodgins going into the year is the Giants' number 1 wide receiver. He is probably the cheapest number 1 wide receiver you can get among all 32 teams. I don't get why he's going in round 13. I think he's more of like an 11th round pick. Like, why take Michael Gallup when you can maybe get the number 1 receiver on the Giants? I think he should probably be going up in this range, round 11. And I get it, Darren Waller's there, but there's also injury concerns with Darren Waller being another year older. So I think Hodgins, especially once we start getting some training camp reports, and if he's one of their better targets. I also know that Paris Campbell was getting a lot of talk in minicamp here. So that Giants wide receiver room has a lot of information to shake out yet, but I think my bet's on Hodgins to continue where he left off last year. And even if he doesn't pick up where he left off, even if he's, like 70, 80% of that, he's going to be useful. Round 13, it's like, who cares, right?
No, absolutely. I think he should be a day 1 starter, and depending on excuse my language, what happens with this Saquon situation, could be one of the more like reliable pieces for the Daniel Jones offense this year.
I'm excited about the Giants. I don't think they're going to be like an amazing breakout offense, but if they just take another step forward in the second year of Brian Daboll, Daniel Jones should be better. I mean, obviously having Darren Waller is a huge deal, but they finally have some players to throw the ball to. Last year was not pretty, so I think it could be pretty nice for the Giants.
What are you thinking about here, Kyle?
If I can get my receiver here stacked with my QB2, that would be the move. I'm pretty well balanced. I have two QBs, Hurts and Richardson. I have four running backs: Henry, Gibson, Achane, and Bigsby. Five receivers: JJ, Kirk, Addison, Zay Flowers, Hodgins. So I'm going to collect Alec Pierce here just because he's connected to Anthony Richardson. And I don't know how familiar you are with Anthony Richardson's game, but the dude's got a cannon for an arm. Alec Pierce he's like a poor version of Jordy Nelson. So I think Pierce is a good fit in best ball for Richardson. Clearly, I don't need a tight end at the moment. I really like Rashid Shaheed, man. The other player that I'm looking at here is probably the rookie running back, Tajay Spears, to pair with Derrick Henry. Anything happens to Henry, I have the Titans backup. Are you familiar with what happened to the other running back in Tennessee?
Haskins?
Yeah.
What happened to him?
Dude got arrested a couple weeks ago.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, not good. We can look that up later. It's not good, though. He's facing some felony stuff. So he might be out of the league, which leaves Tajay Spears as the clear number 2 guy. And in a passing down role, I think Tajay Spears is going to be their third down back. Last year, Dontrell Hilliard caught 4 touchdowns in this role. There's going to be some spike weeks for Tajay Spears. And just because I have Henry, if anything happens to Tajay, or anything happens to Henry, I have his backup. And I also think Tajay offers some spike weeks even when Henry's healthy.
Well, absolutely. I think, the Hilliard role was actually super productive last year.
What do you got brewing over here? You got J-Love, Goff, and Tua. So Goff stacked with St. Brown and Love stacked with Watson. Looks like you could maybe use another tight end. What are you looking at scheming up here with your next turn?
Yeah, I'm absolutely desperate for tight end. I will say, if Jaden Reed fell to me here, of course, he just went. I mean, that's not surprising, but I'm definitely looking for tight ends right now. You already know the one that I want the most. I might honestly grab him on the wrap here. It's maybe a little early, but
I think you can wait for him for 203.
Yeah, I'll
you should be there. It's a gamble. 82 is not terrible. You could get him at 203. It's a little bit of a dance, but you might be
fine. I'll see what happens.
I click Dawson Knox a lot in when I'm in your range.
Yeah, I don't like Dawson.
Yeah, this is a tough spot. I take a lot of Marvin Mims in this range. I've been trying to nibble at some of these free agent running backs. Like Zeke's gonna sign somewhere. I just don't know where. And even if he's anywhere he signs, he's clearly not going to be a lead back, but he could be a guy that has a goal line role. I think of a team like Tampa Bay, who they have Rachaad White and nobody else. So if he goes to a team like that, and he can get 10 touches a game and have a chance at a goal line touchdown, he's interesting because whenever Zeke signs, he's probably going to move up in ADP. Same with some of the other guys down here.
I can't wait. I need to lock in a useful tight end. I think I'm going to go Musgrave near the end too.
Yeah.
So I think I might get 4 tight ends this time. Actually, we'll see. I might do Musgrave and someone else at the end. I like Trey McBride so damn much, and even though I think you are probably right, he'll probably be there at 203. I needed another tight end that I feel good about, and he was the last one left. So I just didn't. I like what you're saying about Zeke. I also kind of. I mean, he's way further down in ADP, but I kind of am interested in like Kareem Hunt near the end of these drafts and like Leonard Fournette, and I don't know.
So I have a theory on Trey McBride. I think in a week he could be drafted. He could be being drafted at this 182 ADP because they're going to put Zach Ertz probably on the PUP list to start training camp, and there's a really good chance that Zach Ertz is still on the PUP list to start the year.
Yeah.
In that case, you're getting a 6-week trial for Trey McBride to be the tight end 1. His numbers were not like the end of the year numbers here: 7.1, 20.8, 4.7, 9.5. 5.8 as from a rookie tight end, and that's not even with Kyler Murray these last 5 games. I think I think Trey McBride's their starting tight end the whole year. Zach Ertz, he's got the multi-ligament injury. So he had surgery on his ACL and MCL. And that surgery is a kiss of death for running backs. You always say that. So like a guy like J.K. Dobbins last year went through that double ligament surgery, and he was garbage. Javonte Williams is the guy this year going through the same thing. So you're completely discounting that player for the first year back, and he's 33 years old. I don't see it there. I think Trey McBride's going to be – he's probably the best sleeper pick at tight end for this season. My favorite tight end. He's my most drafted player on DraftKings right now.
Yeah, and frankly, I'm just where I was at. He was just really the last player at that position that I like, and I don't know, at round 16 and beyond, it's there's not a guys I'm obsessed with. Like, I do like CJ Stroud in round 16. We've discussed this a little bit. I'm kind of interested in Bryce Young, but I've already kind of situated myself with QBs. I think Renfro is okay, and Parker is okay, but I kind of like Shakir too, but I felt pretty situated at receiver, so I felt kind of I was between McBride and Conklin, honestly. I'm kind of interested in the Aaron Rodgers tight end that you just grabbed. But I like McBride so much more. We don't need to talk about it forever, but
you're lined up to get the Packers tight end here, hopefully, which will complete your tight end room. Are you feeling good with 3 tight ends if you can get 3?
Yeah, I don't typically do more than 3. I'm a little nervous about Musgrave this year, so I am considering a 4th, but we'll see with the board, how this all shakes out. I'm feeling pretty good no matter what happens here.
Yeah, you probably need to tack on at least another receiver and another tight end yet. So you have at least those 2 picks left. We have 4 of them left, so you got some luxury with your upcoming picks here.
Probably doing 1 running back, 1 receiver, 1 tight end in a perfect world.
I mean, we're in the junk part of the draft here. Oh, there he goes. Who's? I mean, you're up to pick here, so we'll see who's sticking out for you.
I like John Mechie. I like Terrence Marshall. The running backs here are all kind of gross. I don't love any of them, but I think I'm going to go with John Mechie. He's got a really cool story. I also think before his cancer diagnosis, he was a hell of a prospect and a player. I don't love the running back situation. I think I dropped his name. I think I haven't taken many shares of him, but I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt. I've always thought Kareem Hunt is a good football player.
He's 27 years old still. I think he's got a lot more left than people realize, and he's
playing behind Chubb too, like
fresh.
Yeah.
He might also I'm also just starting to think if you're Kareem Hunt, do you sign somewhere, soon as a backup, or do you wait, week 1, week 2, see if any injuries happen, and then you make your signing? He might not sign, before week 1, but I think that if he gets an opportunity, I still think he's a starter caliber for at least a year. There's going to be camp injuries. Something's going to happen, so we'll see where he goes. But I like grabbing shares of Hunt for sure. What else? Let's see. I feel like my running back room is okay. Derrick Henry, Gibson. I got the rookies A-Chain, Bigsby, and Spears. And then I added Jeff Wilson. So I have 2 Miami Dolphin running backs. Again, if Dalvin Cook doesn't sign with the Dolphins, I'm feeling pretty good about that duo. Raheem Mostert would be nice too, but he's often injured, and I wasn't able to get him. I probably need some wide receiver help, though. I only have 6. But again, with my build, I'm starting 2 tight ends probably 75% of my weeks with Hawkinson and Goddard. So we'll see as I'm up to pick here. You mentioned Terrace Marshall. What do you like about Terrace?
Well, he's just kind of a warm body in a situation where I think somebody has to catch passes. It's not the most scientifically driven argument, but he's young. I think he's probably more useful than Adam Thielen at this point in both of their careers, and again, it's kind of a cliche, but I just think somebody has to catch balls there, and they're going to be behind, So
he's their number 4 receiver technically, or he's kind of like their number 3, number 4. Thielen is 33 years old, doesn't have much left in the tank. DJ Chark is always injured. There's a chance that Marshall ends up starting half the season or more this year. So I like shares of Marshall. And then the other guy that I've been starting to nip at is Mecole Hardman. The dude was starting to find himself last year. He had some pretty big games with Pat Mahomes. He had games of 12, 13, 28, and 19.9 before his injury. So he's a guy that, especially, he's free. I think he's going to pop off for a few games. I think there's a plan for him in the Jets. I got him and Tyler Conklin now, so I have 2 potential outs in the Aaron Rodgers offense, which feels pretty good. And then let's check in and see what old Matt Bame's been cooking up here. He's got Mahomes, C.J. Stroud, and Mac Jones, so he's probably good at QB. What do you think of this running back room? DeAndre Swift, A.J. Dillon, P. Ryan Harris, Roschon, and Raheem Mostert? A little bit light?
Very light.
Well, I think Dillon and P. Ryan are good. I still don't trust DeAndre Swift, but this could work. This could work. His receivers: Calvin Ridley, Terry McLaurin, Deontay Johnson, Mike Evans, Alan Lazard, Rashee Rice, and MBS. So he did tack on some more Chiefs here, which I like a lot.
He's got the best. You could argue he's got the best receiving room of anybody, and he didn't take receivers in the first 2 rounds.
I'm going to disagree with that. I don't think he's got a decent receiving room.
No, I like a couple groups more, but I mean for not starting with receivers, I thought he did pretty good.
Again, this is what it costs to get Mahomes and Kelsey on the same team, though. You're going to be either light at the running back or wide receiver position. He chose to go after receivers rounds 3, 4, 5, and 6. It looks like, before paying attention to the running back spot. So we'll see how he rounds it out. It's got a lot of potential. I think if you can get anything out of Swift, I think Dillon, P. Ryan are going to be consistent most weeks. And then you're going to have to, see what happens from Mostert, Roschon. He's got some interesting pieces here. So I like it. And you just grab Noah Fant here in round 20, my man. Who are you looking at here to send us off?
I don't know. It's always just, whoever. What do you think about like Zamir White or Dwayne McBride?
I'm more into Zamir White. I don't know what McBride's role is going to be. There's a lot of backups there, and he's not a pass catcher. I like Michael Carter.
I do like
Deneric Prince is another Chief. Yeah, you got to make him pick.
Michael.
I like Michael Carter. The things that I've been reading today and yesterday, it sounds like he's been the starting running back today and yesterday, and it sounds like he's been looking really good. So it looks like he's kind of bouncing back. With Breece Hall and his ACL injury, they might elect to kind of go running back by committee to start the year. So I think Carter, just being a pass catching back, he's been a guy that I've been picking up a lot of shares of here in the 20th round. And then Matt Bame's walk-off pick. Let's see what he does. He's probably going to grab another tight end here. We'll see.
Tank Dell, get that Stroud Dell.
Yeah, he doesn't have any other Texans, and he gets Noah Gray, so he backs up Travis Kelce, which I've grabbed a couple shares of Noah Gray.
Good. That's a good idea.
And the other thing too, like when I grab, whenever I take Darren Waller, I grab Daniel Bellinger. He's had some nice off-season reports, and if anything, that's the one thing about Darren Waller is we're concerned about him staying healthy for a full season. If anything happens to Waller, Daniel Bellinger, we're all going to be lining up at the waiver wire pool, freaking dishing out $23 to get Daniel Bellinger. So that's kind of where my mind's been at, is thinking a little bit ahead on those situations, round 20.
Sure. That's what you got to do.
Do I take another Indianapolis receiver here to pair with my Richardson?
Who's the guy?
It's Josh Downs, Tank Dell, Aguilar, Tutu.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
It's hold your nose kind of picks, right?
No doubt. I do a lot of handcuffing here myself. I walk
off with Trey Lance here. I have 3 rushing QBs. If he gets traded or something, I don't know. I'm gonna give Josh Downs some love. I think he's a good prospect, and he was kind of mistreated in the draft. He fell. The Colts were pretty excited to get him. He's going to be their third receiver, so we'll go with that. And then let's recap everyone's team here. I'm going to start, I guess, with my team. It's on the board here. Jalen Hurts, Anthony Richardson. I only drafted 2 QBs. We'll see how it goes. My running back room is Derrick Henry, who hopefully is my tank all year. Gibson's going to be my running back too, but we're going to have competition at that spot all year long from the rookies, A-Chain, Bigsby, Spears, and then the veteran Jeff Wilson in here. I think that's going to be.
You got the 3 rookie RBs. I love that. That's fun.
What I like about it is, Henry, if he does break down over the season, I have 3 potentially lottery tickets that I can plug in throughout the year. And
his handcuff, yeah.
I think Jeff Wilson is a pretty good back. Raheem Mostert's often injured. You know, if Wilson's their touchdown leader, I wouldn't be surprised by the end of the year. Receivers, Justin Jefferson, Christian Kirk, Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers, Hodgins, Alec Pierce, Terrace Marshall, Miko Hardman, and Josh Downs. So we're starting 3 of those guys every week, which I think I have enough depth to do so. And then at the tight end spot, Hawkinson, Goddard, and then Tyler Conklin. We'll probably start 2 tight ends most weeks. So it feels good.
Tight end's carrying you, though.
Bully tight end. Goddard Hurts stacked. It feels pretty good. And John, I'll let you paint us a story here and walk us through your team.
Yeah, well, kind of the opposite of you. I mean, I'm just so weak at tight end. I think I'll survive, but So I got a couple quarterbacks that I'm excited about. Tua is a guy I wasn't able to stack with him at all, but I just think his weapons are so outlandishly good that even if it's kind of like, I don't know. I just think he could have a lot of fun games. Goff, I was able to get Amon-Ra, and Love, I was able to get Watson. I like both Goff and Love kind of at their ADP. I'm definitely grabbing, of these 3, Goff is the one I own the most across my best balls by a pretty significant margin. I think today was actually the first time I've taken Tua. Running backs, I was able to get, in my opinion, kind of a mishmash of guys who I think will be good floor guys and guys who have a little bit of upside. I really think Jaylen Warren is kind of an interesting and special, backup running back. And so I was excited to be able to, maybe invested a little more in the Steelers backfield than you'd want, but was able to handcuff Najee essentially. And I just think those 2, can score together on the field. And, if Najee somehow gets hurt, Jaylen Warren is a big beneficiary of that. I feel like I kind of have Jamal Williams as like a dart throw for the beginning of the year, and Kareem Hunt and Michael Carter as like dart throws for the potential end of the year. My receiving room, I'm pretty excited about it. I've got a bunch of guys I really like. Amon-Ra, I think, is got a chance at receiver 1 this year. Christian Watson, I think, is, one of those high kaboom, any given week, he could be one of the top 2-3 scoring guys at the position in the week. Ayuk's a guy I think are a lot of, and Cooks and People-Jones are 2 guys I think are really positive, kind of mid-round or middle of the draft guys for best ball. They're involved in the offense, and Peoples-Jones especially has a couple really big games in him every season. Pat Freiermuth, since I really delayed on tight end, I think, he's a guy I feel pretty comfortable with as my tight end 1. And I don't know. I really love McBride. I think he's, most of the time I get him as a tight end 3, but in this situation, feel fine with him as my tight end 2. So I don't know. Overall, I think there was a couple spots where I maybe made a mistake or 2, but overall, this is a team I think has some good legs. And also relatively balanced. I definitely took a little bit of a dive at tight end, though.
No, your tight end that's a great tight end room. You got Freiermuth, who's going to start probably 60 to 70% of your weeks. You have upside in McBride, and Noah Fant has his moments too. So your tight end room is not weak. There's probably weaker tight end rooms out there, but your running back room is insane. You got Bijan hopefully locked in for 17 weeks. You got competition at RB2 between Najee and Pierce. And then one of those guys will compete at your flex. So you have 3 really good running backs. You have Jaylen Warren handcuffed to Najee. So you're locked into an RB2 role pretty much every week with one of those guys for the entire season. You have Jamal Williams to chip in while Alvin Kamara is suspended, and then you have some lottos. Like your running back room is pretty good.
I'm excited about it. Yeah,
that's the strength for sure. And then, I mean, St. Brown, Watson, Ayuk, those are going to be your top 3 receivers pretty much every week. Maybe Ayuk and Cooks, or even like that's a good rotation. 3 of those guys will be in. Peoples-Jones will get some, and then Mims and Mechie are 2 good lottery tickets as well. Those guys could have really good second halves of the season. This looks really balanced. I think this is a really good squad. And then,
I told you, I feel like I've been rounding into form a little bit on my last couple of drafts. I had a $3 draft this morning that I also thought was pretty nice, and it was a totally different team. I'm just cooking with gas right now. Let's look at BAME.
1 second, I want to address the comments here. Chris is asking, what if I post my starters? Yeah, man, send us your stuff. We can look at that whenever you get that in there. If you're still here, we can take a peek at that. And then what's good, Chase? Doing well. Just finished this best ball draft, and we're just reviewing the teams right now. Hope you're doing well. And then our other friend here, Matt Boehm, in the 5-hole. He does the Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce stack with the 1st and 2nd round pick. So he grabs Pat Mahomes, CJ Stroud, Mac Jones. That's good enough for quarterback. John, like, do you have any thoughts on? I know you're a Stroud guy, so like, what are your thoughts on those 3 QBs?
Yeah, I think I mean, I'm a little biased. I'm very pro Stroud, but if you can, kind of how you went with just 2 QBs, I mean, I think you're kind of expecting Mahomes to just play and be the best. And if he isn't, then your team's going to suck anyway. So I think Boehm kind of leaned into that, similar to how you leaned into Jalen Hurts, and that opens up an opportunity to grab a whole bunch of other stuff. And I think as a result, so maybe he's a little weaker at the QB room, but like he's got potentially also the best QB. He's also, I think, if you factor in tight end and receiver together, I think he's got, you could argue, one of the best, if not the best, receiving groups across any team in this 12-team draft right now. So I really like what he did with receiver and tight end.
So I actually think his receivers are a little light. I like Ridley. I like McLaurin. I like Deontay. These guys are all like wide receiver 2s to me. So he does have some really good, solid, top 3 wide receivers. I'm not quite sure what's happening in Tampa Bay with Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans is ideal for best ball. He is made for best ball. Really is. You don't want him in your lineup every week, I think, in a redraft this year. But best ball, I get it. I'm not
Calvin
sure.
Ridley kind of too, right? Like,
yeah, yep. I mean, the only guy that's not a best ball wide receiver here is Deontay Johnson.
Sure.
So, everybody else here, though, this is a best ball receiving group. I like that he was able to tack on Rashee Rice and MVS here.
Yes, I like those Chiefs. Those are fun Chief dart throws at the end of the draft, right?
Yeah, and then with Kelce here, you're hoping Kelce starts 15, 16, 17 games for you. I do like Jake Ferguson a lot as a tight end too. And then Noah Gray is just an insurance policy on Kelce, which I'm fine with as your last pick. And then
I think we need to talk about the running backs. I think so you're a little lower on his pass catchers than I am. I think Ridley, McLaurin, Evans is a potential nightmare for like opponents in best ball. It's really scary looking at from someone that's competing with him in this league right now. But totally the opposite of that. I'm concerned about the running backs. I know you only have to start 2 every week, but I think some weeks it could be hard. Maybe I just don't love this running back room. We've both, had our gripes about Swift. I like AJ Dillon. I like P Ryan. I just like, as your RB2s. I'm not. You're kind of hoping for like injuries, kind of in that situation to really have a great chance.
So the good news is he's got 7 of them.
He does have a good volume of them. Yes, spread around every. No duplicate teams.
With the Broncos, Javonte is going to be slow to start the year, so I do think P. Ryan's probably his top scoring running back week 1. Dillon against the Bears, those are probably the top 2 guys I think for him week 1. With Swift, I don't know what it is. I don't think the Eagles are going to throw enough to the running backs to make him worthwhile. And then as a runner, I don't think he's that great of a runner between the tackles. He likes to bounce it out. I don't know if that fits what the Eagles want to do. So if he can get – this team will be good if DeAndre Swift is good. Essentially, that's what's going to make or break it here. It's best ball, man. You got to risk it. He took what was given to him, and I've done some zero running back builds like this, and it's tough. Like you end up with just a bunch of RB2s and 3s, and you just need something to shake out. I mean, I like Raheem Mostert to start the year if Dalvin Cook doesn't sign there. You have Rashawn Johnson, who might be starting towards the end of the year. I think there's a good mix of like guys he'll use early and guys he'll hopefully have late.
No, I think there was a method to the madness with the running backs that were chosen. It's just, as your top 1, 2, 3 guys, I don't love it. But yes, it could unfold well, and I'm really bullish on the rest of the roster. So if the rest of the roster carries him and then the running back room figures itself out, it's a dangerous team.
He's got Kelsey and Mahomes, and the receivers. Exactly. I like the receivers. The receivers are very good. Especially if you can get Rashee Rice or MVS popping into your top 3 scores every week, that's what's going to make this team go. So this is a fun Bane team there. It's something different. I don't think I've seen him do something like this before. So we'll hopefully get some more drafts with Matt
taking risks.
And
let's look at the inverse of this. The guy who took the 5 running backs to start the draft, Mr. Legs.
I want to get to this comment real quick, though. This guy,
please.
B in the chat says he thinks number 2 is a pretty good slot. The team is balanced, he says. And this guy's got 89 drafts here from the 2 spot. So he is that's probably the highest I've seen in the $20 contest so far. Maybe there's more out there, but
you can peek at him.
Yeah, the FF King. He's got Fields, Carr, Garoppolo. That quarterback room feels fine. I'm not a big Justin Fields guy, but I get it.
I do like Carr.
Carr's your QB2 feels really good.
For
sure. Running back.
I'm trying to stack Carr and Olave whenever I can, and he did it. Oh, nice. Yeah, I love that. I think that's a really fun stack.
He also got Juwan and Taysom Hill, so he leaned into that, and Alvin Kamara, so he's got the Saints pretty much on lock.
Oh wow, yeah, for sure.
So that does look pretty nice. The running backs: Mixon, Sanders, Cook, Kamara, Kelly. So he's going to be without Kamara for 4 or 6 games. Joe Mixon might get suspended. That's my only hesitation with this build is you took 2 potentially suspended players. Have you heard about the Mixon suspension potential?
No, last news I heard on Mixon was good with maybe not good for him personally, but the contract restructuring.
So he had to take a pay cut to stay with the Bengals.
Yep.
Why do you think he had to take a pay cut? He's probably going to
he did something dumb or bad.
The dude, he's a multiple offender of hitting women and doing dumb shit to women.
Oh yeah, fuck.
So to me,
that's terrible.
It's a moral thing for me. I take Mixon when he falls, but to get Mixon and Kamara, who both might be suspended, this team might struggle early if you're relying on Sanders and Cook.
And it's a low volume of running back. Like if both of those guys are suspended, there's only 3 other guys to pick up the slack. I mean, that could sink you completely.
Well, I mean, he might have to charge late at the end of the year because, if all these guys are playing, it's a really good top 4, right?
Yes.
And then, the receivers, like this is Chase, Olave, Metcalf to start. Like, holy shit. And then the wild card joker here in Tony. I like Rondale. Thielen, I'm okay with.
I've always, I think Thielen's fine.
And then he took 2 stabs here, which I like. I like this idea of taking Shakir with Trent Sherfield. It sounds like there's a competition. That this is one of the competitions to watch throughout training camp is who is going to be the Bills' starting slot receiver. So he took 2 stabs at it, which I like. And
Sherfield is a rookie from a rookie, or who's Sherfield?
No, Sherfield's been around, man. He's maybe like 27 years old. He's a veteran, but he apparently was the darling of training camp. He was Josh Allen's like most targeted guy. So, but Shakir did have a good training camp too, or mini camp. So I'm super intent on watching the Buffalo slot receiver. And then the tight end room, man, Njoku, Juwan, and Taysom Hill. I like that room. That's a good room.
This dude has really spread himself so perfectly with New Orleans Saints players. I mean, very, very impressive work. I think he did a great job.
I will say I have done a lot of these Saints stack teams where you get Carr, you grab 1 or 2 of the running backs, you get Olave, sometimes Michael Thomas, sometimes Rashid Shaheed, and then you can get either Juwan or Taysom Hill. There's a lot of names on the Saints, And when I did my scheduling stuff, I found out that the Saints and the Falcons have the easiest schedules in 2023. So I have been
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, so the Saints are a fun one. I think they're going to win the NFC South as well. So that's a good one. But you wanted to pull up team number 6,
Mr.
Legs.
Legs, yeah. Just he went running back,
He took 5 running backs, and then he stopped.
It's an interesting little strategy.
So he ends
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, Lawrence, Stafford, Baker Mayfield. That feels fine. Running backs look good. Eckler, Taylor, Ramondre, Jahmyr Gibbs, Aaron Jones, and none of 11 bye week here for Taylor and Ramondre. That doesn't bother me, but running backs.
It's a no skip.
This is a good running back room.
No skips.
Arguably the best running back room that we have in this draft. To be honest, though, I really like your running back room. I think yours is perfectly deep, and you took your shots throughout the draft. So he was able to grab some sleeper running backs. He took all of his bullets up front. But let's see what he did here at receiver. Burks, Elijah, Michael Thomas, Romeo Dobbs. You got Jacoby Myers, Mingo, Jaden Reed, Jalen Hyatt, and Richie James. Is this enough?
There's definitely some fun upside pieces in there. But yeah, I mean, you need to start 3 receivers every week. Is there enough upside to start 3 useful receivers every week?
Well, the good news is he's probably going to be flexing a running back most often.
100%.
So to get 3 of these guys, I could see 3 of these guys going over, 10 points on a given week here. So it's going to be a low wide receiver total most weeks here, but it should be fine. My only issue is the tight ends. He's got. I always like to say you're allowed one weakness for a position, and he's kind of weak at both wide receiver and tight end.
Yeah, 100%. He's really weak at tight end. He might have the weakest tight end room.
Yeah.
And he also has the weakest receiver room. So yeah. It feels really. I mean, you need a Herculean effort from your 3 starting running backs every week, which, looking at those 5 running backs, he could get it. But I think the receivers and the tight ends will sink this team.
Interesting. That's what's cool about doing this and looking at all this. There's so many different builds out there. But I don't know, John, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, man. I think unless there's another team you want to cover here, we've covered most of the teams, and this was fun, man.
Yeah, hopefully we can get to. Well, it's July 21st. We got freaking 40 or 50 days left until football season, so we'll try and get this going again. Maybe we get Matt to join us on one of these. Maybe we get Jesse. We'll get some more friends to play with us on the drafters. But this was fun. I'll sign off here with that. And I guess Friday night, enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you on the other side. Peace.
Peace.